Hey everybody, welcome once again to the Football Fandemic, where we are going to be looking at the upcoming Super Bowl. We're going to talk about some Hall of Fame topics, and of course all of the coaching switching about that still is happening here on the Football Fandemic. Well, here it is, guys. A few days before the Super Bowl, and I couldn't remember a time when everybody around me was less excited or anticipatory about the Super Bowl. Of course, I do work at a place where they have no idea what the Super Bowl really is about. They think it's for halftime commercials and halftime shows, So, but they're constantly like, now who's playing? And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of how we all feel. It's Kansas City and San Francisco, and we're rooting for San Francisco. I tell them all. I try to prime the pump. We're all rooting for San Francisco, and they're like, oh, I don't know. I like Taylor Swift, and they go that way, and that's fine too. Nothing wrong with Taylor Swift. She seems like a fine girl. But we're going to talk a little bit about that a little bit later. But first, we're going to do as we usually do and talk about some of this ongoing news around the NFL. Big headlines. Bucs center Ryan Jensen is out. We all know that's big news because who the heck is Ryan Jensen? Well, Bucs fans know Ryan Jensen is the center and he retired. Evidently, we also know that. I don't really know who Ryan Jensen is.
Yeah, he was an okay center, pretty good center for like last decade or so in the NFL. So thought it was worth noting.
It's worth noting he was the center for Tom Brady, if he's been doing it for a decade, right? For at least a couple years. And then he was for Baker Mayfield this last year. So maybe Baker's a little more worried going forward. If Baker's even going to be there. We don't even know that yet, do we? We anticipate that they will say, hey, Baker, let's try and work something out long term. But we'll have to see what happens. We also have the NFL Hall of Fame class was leaked. What the heck? That's not supposed to come out till tonight. What is it? Let's just say it on here.
Not really leaked. It's not fully leaked, but there has been a report by Pro Football Talk, which I can't remember who actually leaked it, but I saw it on Pro Football Talk. Credible source Pro Football Talk is.
Okay. Let's help pre-leak some stuff out to our big viewership right now.
Devin Hester.
He's one I would choose.
Julius Peppers, and then Steve McMichael. Steve McMichael was a defensive tackle for the Bears in the 80s and 90s.
I'm not liking the rest of this so far. There's only going to be 5, and I'm not hearing Reggie Wayne yet. Come on, keep going.
That's it. That's all I know.
You only know 3.
Yeah.
Well, this stinks. I hate this Hall of Fame class. Well, okay. Devin Hester's okay. Julius Peppers, whatever. Who's that other guy?
Steve McMichael.
Yeah, I don't even really. I couldn't recognize that name. I know he probably did great stuff. Who did he play for?
The Bears.
Yeah, that's why I don't recognize it. Bears.
So let's say this class is final. I guess you could say, like, not final, but this is true. This leak is true. Devin Hester, Mike McMichael, and then Peppers made it in. Who do the other 2 slots? Who do you think makes the other 2 slots?
Well, who do I think or who do I want?
Think.
I don't know. I don't even really remember who all the people are. Tell me the possibilities.
All right. So besides,
we know Reggie Wayne because that's who I would choose. Okay. Who else you got? I also like Dwight Freeney. Don't think both of them are going to get the last 2 spots,
especially because Peppers is in. Yeah. So final class. So Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Willie Anderson, Jari Evans, Dwight Freeney, Antonio Gates. I'm going off the modern guys. I don't know how they do the voting for the senior class or whatnot.
Right.
Ronnie Harrison, Torrey Holt, Andre Johnson. Actually, Steve McMichael was a senior final, so there's 3 more spots available.
I think Antonio Gates may get one of those.
I'm
going to put that out there, and then I'm going to put out that I want Reggie Wayne to get one of those.
Patrick Wilson, Darren Woodson.
And that I also love Dwight Freeney, and I hate everybody else.
There's not a wide receiver yet. There's not a wide receiver yet, so I'd imagine that Wayne is probably that receiver, honestly, because I feel like
Holt's been up for a few years too, right? But not as many as Wayne.
Either him or I think it's for the last 2. So it's Hester and Peppers in the final 5, I guess you can call it. Then it's 3 other guys. So I'd imagine it's Gates, Wayne, or Holt, depending on how the vote. I don't think it's under Johnson. I just don't. I think he waits a little longer. And then Patrick Willis probably, maybe. either Patrick Willis or Dwight Freeney is my final two.
Well, I'd like the Dwight Freeney, Reggie Wayne, Antonio Gates. I could get down with that Hall of Fame class. We could party, but because I'm such a party guy. Mm. But if it ends up being none of those guys, well, then I hate it. Except I like Devin Hester in there. See, Bears fans, I'm not all against the Bears because I think Devin Hester is deserving. Devin Hester. And the other guy probably is too. I just can't think of him playing off the top of my head. Probably because I didn't watch a lot of him in the Bears. So, do you guys have thoughts? I mean, I said my thoughts, but what about you two? You just totally agree with me, don't you? You want Reggie Wayne, Antonio Gates, and Dwight Freeney.
I'm right there with you. Let's do it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Nice.
A historic Hall of Fame class.
It would be historic. Put those three in with Devin Hester and then that other guy that I just keep calling the other guy. What's his name again?
Steve McMichael.
Stephen Michael?
Steve McMichael.
Steve McMichael. And what did he play? What position?
Oh, I was a defensive tackle for the Bears. I was looking on Twitter to see if any more leaks happened.
Not him. I don't want him.
He's already in. But
that's the one I'm like.
Leaks, of course.
That's the one that made me think I hated this class when I first heard it. So
I was looking on Twitter to see if any more leaks came out. And NFL on Fox podcast tweeted out. So this isn't an official. And I was really scared. It was like Will Anderson Jr. has been voted NFL Rookie of the Year, Defense Rookie of the Year by Fox fans, and I was like, oh, the fans, okay.
Yeah. Well, he's not Hall of Fame. I think he's who you and I picked anyway, isn't it, Josh?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Just Brandon had a different choice there. Witherspoon or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that was Offensive Rookie of the Year.
That was well, who was your Defensive Rookie of the Year?
Witherspoon.
Oh, Witherspoon. Yes.
That's
sorry,
I'm so confused.
I thought we were still talking Hall of Fame.
No. He was reading something that was just anyway, let's get off of that because we got some amazingly interesting coach hirings that our people, our fans deserve to know about. Things like Patriots hire Alex Van Pelt as the OC. Who is Alex Van Pelt? I know I've heard that name. Or maybe I'm thinking of that guy who's the announcer, something Van Pelt, the bald guy.
Mm-hmm, that's probably who you're talking about.
That's who I'm thinking of. I don't know this Alex
Scott
guy.
Van Pelt is you're thinking of. Alex Van Pelt played quarterback in the NFL for about 11 years, mostly with the Bills.
There you go. Well, this is exciting, and our people need to know that he is now the OC of the Patriots. He's been
a quarterbacks coach for the Packers in 2014, 2017, and the running backs coach for the Packers 2012, 2013.
So wait, he was a quarterback coach and a running back coach? That seems odd. Seems like you would be specialized one or the other.
And then he was offensive coordinator for quarterback coach for the Bengals in 2018, 2019. Offensive coordinator for the Browns, in 2020, 2022, and 2023. And then he was hired by the Patriots.
There you go. All you Patriots fans, get excited. You got yourself an Alex Van Pelt, and he's going to go crazy as your OC under your head coach, whose name I just lost. What's his name? The head coach, Patriots.
Oh, Jerod Mayo.
Jerod Mayo. Yes, there we go. It's going to take some time because it's a natural Bill Belichick. Just comes to mind, goes out of my mouth, and I'm like, wait, Patriots. It's somebody different now. Jerod Mayo. There we go. Like mayonnaise. That'll help me remember it. Titans hire Nick Foles as offensive coordinator. Who the heck is Nick Foles? Tell us, Josh.
I'm gonna look this one up honestly because
he's looking it up. This is how much we know this guy. He's so awesome. We have to look him up. I did know
Van Pelt a little bit. Nick Foles. That's Brian Nick Foles.
He's gonna look him up. While he's looking him up, I'm going to tell you that the Dolphins hire Ravens assistant Anthony Weaver. I know y'all been waiting for that guy. Anthony Weaver is now the DC in the Dolphins. He was one of those Ravens guys who was pillaged here. Ravens, I think, have lost the most coaches and
they lost a secondary coach, I believe, a defensive coordinator, and now this guy.
Yeah, so they're losing all their defensive people. Nobody's after their offensive people, really.
No.
All right, what did we get for this Nick Foles guy? Who is he?
Nick Foles, offensive coordinator of UNLV from 2022, passing games coordinator for the Jaguars in 2023.
Okay, so that's where we would maybe see some of his work because I don't watch the college stuff. But They said, hey, Trevor Lawrence was looking so good this last year when they didn't make the playoffs. Let's get him. So they got him. Titans now have Nick Foles. All you Titans fans, it's a new era. You got yourself a new coach. You got yourself a new OC. You got yourself possibly Will Anderson. Will Levis. Who's Will Anderson? That's the guy we were just talking about, the defense guy. Yeah. All right. Let's keep this going. Giants. This is a big one, guys. The Giants have hired the former Titans DC as their new DC. Remember how awesome the Titans defense was last year? Now that's going to New York. So get excited, Giants fans, because you got that. Whoever that guy is. I don't even know his name. I just know he was Titans.
Oh, yeah.
DC.
I just realized I didn't put the name. I just think I just saw Titans DC. I didn't really get a name. So
there you go. So you guys can look that up. Whoever the Titans had last year, now you have them, and that's a good thing. I'm sorry if this sounds like we don't know the thing we're on here talking about, but these guys, they don't always hit my radar unless they're a bigger name. I know the bigger ones, but some of these guys.
I'm going to do this next one.
Okay.
We have a gentleman that Josh wanted. The great value version of the
I think,
show.
by the way, before
Josh
you go on,
Wanted.
we should start calling him Gentleman Josh. That's like his name.
Gentleman
Josh says.
So Gentleman Josh wanted the non-great value brand of this person. He wanted a gentleman named Ben Johnson to come in and save his Commanders team. As we know, Ben Johnson said, I like what we're building in Detroit.
And he said it. He said it when they were on the plane halfway there.
Yeah. And so Commanders are calling around and they're like, Ben Johnson, that's not available. Whoa. Here we go. Brian Johnson, you're hired to our offensive staff, stripping him away from the Eagles offensive
Eagles,
position.
You're done. You don't get the Brian Johnson, because now the Commanders have him. Hey guys, what do you guys, just real quick, what do you think about that whole Ben Johnson canceling while they were mid-flight? If those rumors are true.
I think that was a very unethical, unmoral type of situation.
It was definitely a use of jet fuel that didn't need to happen, right? And all those guys that cleared their schedule to come talk to Ben Johnson, they got so mad they said, you know what, let's just go get Brian Johnson. We need that guy. So that's Philly, right. You lost it. Brian Johnson's gone. Now he is with the Commanders. Are you excited about that, Josh? Do you feel like that's a good thing? Because he was the OC for Jalen Hurts and them last year. Do you feel like that offense this last year was good?
I actually am. I'm really excited, and we'll get into it in a minute, but I'm really excited, honestly, for what Jan Quinn has been doing in Washington within the last week. But
oh yeah, we got more to say about Washington. So let's just go on. Then we'll have you kind of say what you think about all of them. Okay, let's jump to the top here because we already know it's kind of been around for a while that Cliff Kingsbury, who used to be the Arizona Cardinals head coach, has been brought in as the offensive coordinator. He was the guy who was like, he brought in Kyler Murray, and everybody said, what was the air raid? Is that what they called it? Mm-hmm. Tons of long passes was going to be the thing. And they got rid of the guy that Josh has been flipping and flopping. Do I want Eric Bieniemy as our offensive coordinator, as our head coach maybe? Oh, wait, we got a different head coach. Oh, wait, we got a different offensive coordinator. What's he going to be? I'll tell you what, he's going to be out on his ear, right? They said this time, sorry, no place for you. Dan Quinn said, get out, Eric Bieniemy, and now he's already talking to Kansas City. Can you believe it? We'll talk about that more later.
I can believe that,
yeah. But then that's not all that happened with the Commanders, because Commanders also hire former Cowboys secondary coach, this is your cornerbacks and your safeties, Joe Witt Jr. to be their defensive coordinator. So I'm going to ask these kinds of questions again, and I think Brandon may have some stuff to put in here, but are you excited about what you saw with the Cowboys secondary last year and what you saw with the Eagles offensive coordinating position last year as these come in? And of course, Cliff Kingsbury in his role when he was with Arizona. What do you think about all this, Josh?
I'll start with Kingsbury, and people might disagree, but I'm very excited about the Cliff Kingsbury hire. If you look at his resume, I mean, you look at the Cardinals and you only look at the Cardinals and it's like, all right, that was kind of bad. It was all right. But then you look at what he did in the past and what he did before we hired him. He was at USC as a senior offensive analyst. So he worked with Caleb Williams. he developed Caleb Williams. So if we get Caleb
Oh,
Williams,
yes.
that
That was the
already
big
there.
thing. As soon as he
Yeah.
was hired, everybody's like, oh, looks like Washington's after Caleb Williams.
And even in Arizona, he worked with Kyler Murray and developed Kyler Murray. Texas Tech head coach for 5 years, developed Patrick Mahomes, and I can't remember the other guy, but developed Patrick Mahomes. Texas and A&M for a year, developed Johnny Manziel. Even though he didn't pan out in the NFL, he was electric in college. So these guys, quarterbacks he's developed in college and in the NFL, have been come out and become very prolific in their career, whether it was in college or in the NFL or both. And so I can't imagine what he's going to do with either Sam Howell or Caleb Williams if he brings Caleb Williams, if they get Caleb Williams and that he brings him along with him. I'm really excited for that. Ben, just staying on the offensive side of the ball, Brian Johnson was a quarterbacks coach for the Eagles in 2021 and 2022, got promoted to offensive coordinator. Now, this doesn't always mean because you're promoted that you're bad at the quarterback coaching position or your previous position for his sake. It's the quarterbacks coach. He wasn't that good as an offensive coordinator, but he was a great quarterback coach in helping develop Jalen Hurts into what he is now. And although the Eagles' offense wasn't that great, they kind of collapsed at the end of the year. Their offense was still seventh in yards, 8th in points, and we're only adding him to probably I don't know what he's only offensive staff. I don't know what he's going to be, but whatever quarterback we're going to get, he's going to help as much as Cliff Kingsbury is. He's going to help develop that quarterback into a prolific quarterback. Moving to the defensive side, we hired Joe Witt Jr. as our defense coordinator, and I really like this move as well because our secondary, I mean, a lot of players on defense were lacking overall, but our secondary, especially, with the drafting of Emmanuel Forbes last year and Ron Rivera and Jack DeLear not knowing how to implement him well. And I'm hoping that Joe Witt can Jr. come in and have that secondary mindset as a defensive coordinator and kind of develop more Benjamin St-Juste because St-Juste is all right. He's up and down. And then develop Emmanuel Forbes to be the player he can be. And as a defense coordinator, along with Dan Quinn, who also is a defensive-minded guy, develop the linebackers and then the defense. I mean, the defensive line is actually pretty good. We have stars on there. They just need to play for something. They need to play with passion, I guess. So developing the linebackers and secondary is very important for the Commanders right now. And I believe Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. are going to be doing a solid job at that. I'm very excited for all of these hires.
Brandon, you had some thoughts on this, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Josh had some thoughts on this that he texted me that he just shared.
Oh, he texted you in case he didn't make it.
No, from basically like we talked about earlier, I didn't know my meeting was going to be, in Pacific time. So I didn't think I'd be on. So I texted Brandon, to return the favor because I gave his, opinion of Havsley last week. So, but I'll be on this week to do it.
So, I will say this, Dan Quinn and this Joe Witt, they've worked together. They're going to have like an understanding of how that relationship works. That can only be good, right? And get that defense kind of back where it's supposed to be. You got your offensive guys, both having some experience with some big name quarterbacks. Now it just remains to be seen. Does Washington sit at 2 and hope Caleb falls? Do they try to trade up to 1 and give away too much? Let's hope not. Do they sit at 2, and when Caleb is taken, take someone else? It's hard to say because we do know Cliff Kingsbury, when he went to Arizona, everyone knew that meant he would be bringing in Kyler, who he worked with before, and he's worked with Caleb before. So keep an eye on that.
Let me ask this question, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
What does trading from pick 2 to pick 1 mean the Commanders are giving up? What would that look like?
That's tough because I know last year, Jonathan Allen, our star defensive tackle, along with Ron Payne, he said he was unpleased with the organization, but there's been a total coaching overhaul, I guess, or haul in or whatever. So maybe he's changed his mind and he's on board with the whole team. So I don't know what Jonathan Allen's standpoint is, but in my opinion, if I was trading from 2 to 1 with the Bears, of course I'd switch picks. I give back our second round pick we got from the Montez Sweat trade. I'll add in a 5th round pick this year, and then I'll trade Jonathan Allen. If Jonathan Allen is not part of the deal, I'd do the first round pick swap, the second round pick, a 4th round pick, and a second round pick next year.
And what about maybe sending?
I'm just going to say that does not line up with recent 2 to 1 moves.
I know it does.
As far as you're giving less than probably will be asked for.
I don't know, the Jonathan Allen thing probably is more likely just because it's a star player, but
What if you let me propose this trade here with Washington. You take the Packers 3rd round pick. You just give us your 4th straight up because we're going to do
Cool.
better with that
Yeah.
anyway. And then you use that 3rd round pick and send it to Chicago.
that'd be
Add,
fine. with
add
me.
that in the deal. Instead of the 4th round, you'll send them a 3rd round.
That'd be fine. With
So,
me.
what was the trade last year that Carolina gave Texans?
Let me look. Bears, Panthers trade.
And then look back to what the 49ers gave up to get Trey Lance, going from 3 to 2.
I don't know. I think that was the Bears trying to get Trubisky from 3 to 2.
Yeah, the
I want
Bears.
you to
ton.
Okay,
look at those
maybe
trades and just see what your compensation, how it compares. Because the truth is, they're going to be looking at that, and when they say yes or no. So I think your trade package is too little right there.
It is probably
Obviously,
looking at it.
with
So the
both
Bears,
you and what Brandon proposed.
so they swapped picks. So they got the Bears got the Panthers first, or the Panthers got the Bears first. The Bears got the Panthers first.
Right.
They got the 61st. So that'd be a 2nd round pick the past year, 2023, a 2nd round pick this year, and a 1st round pick this year, and then DJ Moore. So my trade probably is illogical, but I don't. What was were the Panthers number 2 or were they number? They weren't number 2.
No, they were number 9.
Yeah,
I
they were
think.
farther back.
Yeah. So switching from 2
So
to 1 is
look at the
like
look at the San Francisco trade for Trey Lance. They moved up 1 spot for that, and it was, I think, either 4 to 3 or 3 to 2. I think it was 4 to 3, wasn't it?
And they could have just saved all of that by having Brock Purdy picked in the 6th round instead.
Yeah. Or the 7th.
What year was Trey Lance drafted?
What year was
21?
that?
21?
Maybe. Let me look.
I think it was the
Trey
year after.
Lance was drafted at pick number, I swear, 3.
3, wasn't it? Yep. They moved from 4 to 3, I believe. Just 1 spot from 4 to 3. This is not 2 to 1. This is 4 to 3. So it's not going to be as rich. But what did they give up?
Houston traded. I don't know how. Oh, okay, so it was Houston's pick, then Miami's pick, and then San Francisco's pick because Miami is in no way position to get a third overall pick. So Houston traded their 1st and 2nd round pick, and a 2021 for as well as offensive tackle Julian Davenport and a couple of defensive backs in exchange for Kenny Stills and Laramie Tunzel and a 6th round pick. So that was the original trade. The reason the Dolphins got to pick number 3. Miami then traded that pick, pick number 3, to the 49ers in exchange for pick number 12. So it was a 9-spot difference. So they swapped pick 3. Miami sent pick 3 to San Francisco. San Francisco sent.
So wait,
pick 12.
for Trey Lance, they had pick 12?
Yes. Well, San Francisco did, and then Miami traded it. So San Francisco had 3, Miami had 12, and then they also traded a 2022 1st round pick, 1st and 3rd round pick, and a 2023 1st round pick. So they traded a lot more than DJ Moore.
Yeah, I thought they only moved up 1 spot to get him.
It seems like 9 positions.
They moved up 9 positions. Okay, so let's look at the Bears. The Bears moved up just 1 spot to get Mitchell Trubisky. I'm just trying to look at this moving up 1 spot sort of comparison.
2017 draft. Yeah, Miami, San Francisco. So the Bears sent for Mitch Trubisky. They swapped picks, 2nd and 3rd pick, and then the Bears sent over a 1st, 3rd, and 4th round pick, as well as a 3rd round of that year, and then a 3rd round selection
for the following year.
No, so yeah, so no, it was they swapped picks, and then the Bears sent a 3rd and 4th round selection of that year, and a 3rd round pick of next year.
So a 3rd, a 4th, and a 3rd, in addition to their 1st,
swap.
which was just a swap.
Yes.
So you're saying if you do a swap, and then you give him this guy who is so good, and then a 3rd. I still don't know. I still don't know.
It depends on the team, of course. Like, you know what I mean? So,
I mean, looking at the Carolina trade's a lot more realistic because they went from 2nd to 1st. They threw in DJ Moore, which was a superstar guy. And so looking at what they added in addition to that's probably closer to what you're looking at.
Was it a 2nd to 1st? I thought they were farther back.
Carolina was 9th. You're right.
Yeah.
Right.
So they went 9 to 1 and traded
a lot more.
half of heaven to get that.
Yeah. I feel like there's got to have been a 2nd to 1st. I guess it was the Bears, 2nd to 1st. I feel like there was another one.
No,
Anyway,
that was third to second.
third to second.
It
Yeah.
was the Bears.
So who knows what that compensation will be? I feel like what you proposed is going to be considered too small, but maybe you can convince them, hey, this is what you want to do. My guess is there's enough people who would love to go into that number one spot that they will demand a high bounty.
Here,
if it
give me a
happens.
second, real quick.
All right. Well, here's an article that was written on the most credible journalistic source of all time, Reddit, and let's see what this has to say. So it's giving two options for what might happen, based on the point system that the NFL puts out
Right.
for how much value all of these things are worth.
Come on, man.
And so Washington's second overall pick is worth 2,600 points.
Okay.
And then their second round pick is worth 470 points. Combine both of those together, that's 3,070.
Okay.
Chicago's first overall pick alone is just worth 3,000 points. So just sending a first and a second round in the point system, Chicago's up.
But you know
And
that
that would
never
be it.
happens.
That would never happen. You're right.
That would never happen. I don't care what the point system
Or-
Let's do real quick while we're
Here's the
talking
other.
about it.
Here's the other one. So Washington sends their second overall. They send their third round pick, a 2025 second round pick for Chicago's first overall. So a first, a third, and next year's second.
I still don't see that. Here's what I see
Sorry.
actually happening. I see them giving their second round pick this year for Justin Fields, staying at number 2 and drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. So they end
Let's
up
play
with
this
Marvin
out.
Harrison Jr. and Justin Fields as their quarterback, and then all the rest of the pieces they got. Can you imagine Marvin Harrison Jr. with Dotson and Scary Terry? Whew, what a mess.
Can you imagine Marvin Harrison Jr. in the green and gold? Because
Can you imagine him
far back. We are
at
too
home with the
far
Colts? Yeah, we're even further. No, we're not further back, but we're too far back also.
Yeah. if he goes outside of the top 5, I think that's going to be the biggest draft steal of the decade.
Oh, yeah. I just don't even see that happening. Too many
Before,
people are too covetous of him already.
Yeah. So in this Reddit thread, someone says, from Chicago's perspective, they're obviously going to try to get everything they can. And then they're going to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. So they're going to go somewhere between picks 1 and 3, go back to second or go back to third, get as much as they can from either of those two teams, and then get Marvin Harrison Jr.
Unless they trade away Justin Fields, then they're going to be looking to get their choice.
Yeah, Drake
And they may
May,
stay.
Bill Williams, Josh
So
Allen.
if that's the case, they're going to try to trade Justin Fields for something where they can get another. Can you imagine if they did what the Texans did and they somehow trade Justin Fields for one of the for one of those first 2 or 3, like the second or third and they end up with Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. That'd sound like something they would do.
Let's
You
look at
wouldn't
this.
like that.
See, I
This is like-
wouldn't like it because this is, the Bears fans' regular season. This is where they get a dream. And
That's right.
if that happened, they would be dreaming so high, but then the organization would do nothing to develop those players.
It would be a waste. It wouldn't be like
look at
he's
this.
following his father's footsteps. By the way, I just want to say, all of you young football fans out there, Marvin Harrison Sr. played for the Colts. I've had so many people that I've run into in person, and I'm like, I want Marvin Harrison Jr. to go to the Colts, and you know why? And they're like, why? I'm like, they're like, because he's good? And I'm like, yeah, because he's good, but why else? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, have you ever heard of Marvin Harrison Sr.? And they're like, no. I'm like, who are you guys? How can you not have heard of Marvin Harrison Sr.? Come on.
Was that a conversation with Blake?
It was with so many. It was with like multiple people that I've run
I know
into
one of
who,
you're talking about. Yeah.
who do not know that Marvin Harrison Jr. had a dad who was pretty dang good with a quarterback who was pretty dang good, both wearing the horseshoe on their helmet. Won a Super Bowl together in 2006. It's not even like it's that long ago. 2007, but
It's
2006
almost
season.
20 years. It's almost been 20 years, Matthew.
Come on.
Before we move on, let's look at
The
this.
fact
Just,
it's been 13
from
years for the
simulation
Packers.
wise. Let's see if we can propose a trade that might go from 2-1 and see what works out.
Oh, well, this doesn't.
It's
really
never.
always.
Yeah, I know. So what do we want to do? Our first.
Let's
So
start
those
with,
of you who are listening on podcast, first of all, Josh has pulled up some sort of what is this mock draft simulator, and he's going to see if he can propose a trade that it will accept. So you can't see any of this, but we're going to tell you what he's saying.
I guess you
So
can't.
Josh,
trade players in this, sadly.
let's do these two Reddit options first. So Washington sends their first and their second for Chicago's first.
Which second?
First, second, just for that. Straight
Let's
up.
go that.
Those.
The trade was declined.
Declined. Told you.
So now let's go Washington's first, third, and 25 second.
First, third. The trade was declined.
All right. So now do the first, the second, the third, and the second for next year.
The trade was declined.
Do what would be the equivalent of what the Carolina Panthers did, even though they were moving from 9-1.
Let's do this.
Of course, I guess you have to put a player in
So
there,
let's just do this. Yeah, you can't do that on this one. I don't want to pay for PFF. So
right?
swap of picks. Pick for a second round pick this year. Our first next year and a second round pick next year. This trade was declined.
Looks like you guys are going to be sitting still.
Yeah, I'll go one more shot at it. Boom, 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 boom. So I added a third round pick. This is the last attempt. I added a third round pick. Nope, no one's trading.
Let's go back to it one more time. Do that same thing, but also include everything on day 3 for this year and next year.
All right. So just to let everybody know, say what you're doing.
Wait 1 second.
All right. So we're doing first overall pick or second overall pick, the second
Third
round pick.
Basically, the whole draft.
Yeah, the entire draft just for Chicago's first.
And then 25,
plus
20,
next year's
2025.
first
Yeah.
and next
The
year's.
trade was accepted.
That they would take.
Let's draft Caleb Williams. We'll make it official. Wait, no, I don't want to do that.
Oh man.
There he is.
You better hope Dan Quinn doesn't make that trade. Or who's
look,
their
they
GM
drafted-
now? It's Adam something, right?
Adam Peters. They took Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's see what happens without trades or whatever. So let's see what the Bears do without. They took Caleb Williams without trade, and we took Drake May, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's see what the Packers take just in this situation. I guess it's for fun.
Why just the Packers? What about the Colts?
Well, the Colts too. I'm
The
just saying
Colts
the
will,
Packers.
the Colts will
Packers
show
are
up
hurt.
first.
Oh, the Colts traded their pick. The Colts traded their pick.
Of course we did. Chris Ballard.
What does this do? Oh, the Colts traded the 15th overall pick for pick 23 and 59.
That's not bad.
Guys, this year it's going to be interesting. I know we're
guys took an
still
edge rush,
watching the
and then
fun
the Packers
simulation here.
Defensive tackle.
Byron
Just
Murphy
so
was
you all
second.
could hear, they picked I can't see it because it's so
Oh,
small,
sorry.
defensive
There's a
tackle or something.
Defensive tackle for the Packers, edge rusher for the Colts.
Hey. So I just want to say this year is a year unlike any other year that I've had in a long, long, long time for the draft. And that is we have a quarterback under a rookie contract instead of an old quarterback under a big contract, which will certainly change the way we look at free agency in the draft, because this is the time when you have this situation where you buy the pieces you need that you can't afford when you have a big quarterback contract. You get all these in place while you still have that cheap quarterback. And so I'm looking forward to some exciting stuff happening. Hopefully it sounds like from the talk, and I know you guys don't monitor this, but from the interviews I've seen with Chris Ballard, it sounds like he's on board with a different sort of year this year, because he's mentioned how we have more in the way of flexibility and things could look different this year. And so I'm excited to see what happens free agency and, draft trade up sort of ideas, or who we put around him. It's all about building around Anthony, Jonathan Taylor, and hopefully we end up getting Michael Pittman Jr. back. But like those three being our triplets, and then putting good pieces around him to make this something that can happen. This is what San Francisco has had the beauty of doing. They have Mr. Irrelevant who only makes like 600 and some thousand base salary a year. He doesn't even make $1 million a year. And so they're able to like buy 6 top name brands, Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel and, all these people to put around him. And of course, look what happens. It's a good team. They're in the Super Bowl. Come on, Colts. Take note. All right. We've talked about all our coach hirings, all of our coach firings. We've talked about the news around the NFL, including what we think about the Hall of Fame class. Let's look at this Super Bowl coming up. I know it's been coming up now for a couple weeks, but we're getting a few days out. Let's talk about our predictions. Let's talk about our thoughts. Let's talk about our gripes. Let's talk about everything. Somebody start me on this. First of all,
I am going to officially declare right now 49ers are going to win. I don't want to see Kansas City again. The only part of Kansas City that I enjoy watching succeed at this moment is MVS, because he's a former Packer, and I obviously want my former players to be doing well. Outside of that,
I will say there's a guy, and I wish I had it in front of me because I'll probably get the number wrong, but he has picked the Super Bowl winner.
Pete Schrager.
What?
Pete Schrager.
Pete Schrager.
Is this picked it wrong?
No, right.
No. This is picked it right every year.
I'm talking about a different thing. So I know you guys love this Pete Schrager thing.
Matthew Thomas.
There is a guy who has picked absolutely wrong for the last, I think it was 13 or 16 Super Bowls, and he has been wrong every single time. So it's kind of like the opposite. Whoever he picks is not going to win. And guess who he picked to win?
49ers.
Kansas City. He says, I know I've been wrong in the past, but Kansas City, I've bet against them before and they showed me, and I'm not going to be duped again. I picked Kansas City, and he's picked wrong the last, I think it's 16 times.
The last time we picked Kansas City to win, they lost to the Buccaneers.
Well, he picked the Buccaneers that year. He picked Kansas City that year.
I picked Kansas City. Yeah.
Right. And so it's like the Groundhog Day, This is the antithesis of, I guess, is it Pete Schrager?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what did he do? I didn't look at his.
So Pete, I think it's the last 5 Super Bowls.
Oh, that's not even comparable to this guy.
It's not, but it's still pretty good.
Okay.
I am excited to see the defense that the 49ers are going to come up with to
I
just.
assume he picked the 49ers?
I haven't.
You didn't really say.
I haven't looked.
He
You guys were all like, Pete Schrager, and it's like you don't even know who he picked.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, I don't want to. But here's what I expect. I expect the 49ers to come out and expose the weaknesses of the Kansas City offense. And those weaknesses are, you might ask.
What are they?
What are those
Oh,
weaknesses?
yeah. Thank you for asking. Well, the big one is lack of receiver depth. There's a couple people that throughout this playoff run have been consistent. Kadarius Toney is not one of them.
Kadarius Toney evidently has a lot to say about that, though.
Yeah, he thinks he's the. Oh my gosh, I saw that. He thinks, hey, yeah, get the ball in my hands, and I'm the number 1 receiver in the NFL. No, you are not, because you can't get the ball in your hands. You drop it. That's
that's a big part of that, Kadarius. You got to catch it.
And so right now, the weapons that they utilize exceptionally well throughout this playoff run has been obviously Travis Kelce,
right?
Obviously MVS, and I'm really proud of MVS.
Mm-hmm.
And then their running backs, and that's it. And then Patrick Mahomes will go and extend the play and try to make some things happen. So you got to make sure those people that have been on fire right now are put out.
You got to take Kelce completely out of the game. Number 1.
So many teams, and this happens every game, and I do not understand it. Just drop into a deep zone coverage, and Travis Kelce is right there, wide open underneath, with no one within 20 yards of the man.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot do that.
Mind-boggling.
Every single game, there's at least one play that's like that, and I don't. From a defensive perspective, you need to go and cover their top player.
Joe Barry might have kept him 20 yards off, but not Brandon Colmark.
No. And not Jeff Hafley either. He's going to be there.
Right.
So they need to go in and disrupt MVS, disrupt Travis Kelce and disrupt their running backs. If you do that, I don't have faith that Kadarius Toney is going to look like the best player of all time. I think he's going to drop some pretty easy balls to catch. So
Wouldn't that
I
be
would
great
not
to watch him drop 4 or 5?
Oh my god, drop a couple touchdowns. That's a surefire way to get fired as soon as the game ends. But that's what I expect to happen. And then I do, but I don't have overall faith in Kansas City's defense. They have been looking better, and I do have to give them credit for that. But 49ers got a lot of healthy offensive weapons, and I expect every single one of them to be utilized to their fullest. So I don't know the answer to this question. I'll let the two of you tell me. But I don't know a defense in the NFL right now that could stop a healthy Debo, a healthy CMC, a healthy Brandon Ayuk, a healthy George Kittle, and a healthy Brock Purdy. Like it's a lot to cover, and it's not easy. For 1/2. And the offensive mind of Kyle Shanahan behind that.
Mm-hmm.
That is really, really difficult to cover. So the game's going to be closer than we think, probably, but I'd like to see the 49ers go in and win by 3 touchdowns.
Oh, wow. That's not close. Yeah.
I think it's probably going to be a 10-point game. It'll get down.
What if it's an overtime game and in the last 13 seconds, Brock Purdy leads them to a win?
Yeah, it's fine. As long as Kansas City doesn't win.
Like, as long as that happens, it'll be stressful, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah. And so I think it's realistically going to be a 10-point game. 49ers are going to be up most of the game. Kansas City is going to come in and get they'll be down 17. They'll get a late touchdown and then go for the ball again, with the onside and not get it. So that's what I'd like to see. But other than that, those are my official thoughts.
Let's each make one crazy prediction about this NFL. I mean, yeah, we're pulling them out of our hat, but let's make one crazy prediction and see who gets the most right. I guess if we all say prediction. 1, maybe we need to make 2.
Right, yeah, crazy. So prediction 1 on all. I guess that wouldn't make sense. 2 predictions, and then a score prediction. See who gets the closest right. Which I will say, by the way, we were talking about Peter Schrager getting our, the picks. I think he picked the Chiefs, I believe, if I remember right.
So this is a buttered bread versus on the back of a cat situation, right?
But you do have to remember that although we picked the Jets 49ers in the Super Bowl, we still have half of that. We picked the 49ers to win. We still have a chance to get half of that right.
That's right.
Yes, we do. And, without injury, we might have had the whole thing right, everybody. Might have.
Let me look at what we actually have.
Here's my first crazy prediction. Chiefs are going to score first, and it's going to be fast, but they will still lose.
My crazy prediction is CMC is the Super Bowl MVP.
Is that really crazy?
If everyone's saying the Chiefs are going to win, you can't be the Super Bowl MVP if you don't win.
It has happened before.
Has it?
What?
Yeah. I mean, look, it was like one of the 70s.
In 1962?
Yeah, pretty much.
Back before there was any television or fans to get outraged, any internet to get on and yell out.
Yeah, you could make mistakes like that back then. You can
nobody knew except for the 7 people at the game.
That could be allowed today. Hey, Patrick Mahomes, thanks for coming to the Super Bowl. I know you lost. Here's your Super Bowl MVP trophy.
The world would go crazy if that happened today.
Oh my gosh.
I can't remember. It was one of the Cowboys players. I just can't. I'm trying to find who it was.
You're going to find it. While you're finding it, I'm going to give my second crazy prediction. Let's see. I got to make up one. My second crazy prediction is that Brock Purdy looks so much better than Patrick Mahomes at the end of the game, stat-wise, and of course the win.
So, yeah, I found it. So Chuck, I'll give my prediction after this. But Chuck Howley, Cowboys linebacker, won the MVP in Super Bowl 5 against the Colts. Funny enough, and they lost.
And that's the only time it's happened?
I believe so.
You think I would know that and be yelling that it's a travesty?
Yeah, I don't. That's not going to happen.
Was that Johnny Unitas playing for the Colts that year? Or was he
Um,
gone?
might have been Chuck Morale or what's his name, John, whatever his name is. Let me look.
I can't believe that if it was
Johnny
Sean O'Hara.
Unitas, yeah, was playing.
I can't believe he didn't get it and they won. Come on.
Well, Johnny Unitas, 88 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Earl Morale actually played most of the game, 147 yards and an interception. And then there's no defensive stats, but
maybe that
yeah,
was the hard part because he was coming to the end of his career.
nobody
Right?
really shined anywhere. The Cowboys passer Craig Wharton, 127 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions, and nobody receiving or rushing passed or received or caught for or ran or caught for 100 yards. Oh, like the highest is 65 rushing yards, and then John
remember,
Mackey
this
has
is like
this
is way back there.
Yeah.
I mean, they
was
didn't
before-
have the stats they have today. was a
This is
different
leather
game.
helmets.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go crazy prediction number 2. Kansas City Chiefs are going to have 2 offensive turnovers. One of them they recover, and one of them they do not.
Oh, see, I was in my mind thinking Patrick Mahomes was going to be intercepted a couple times.
I think one's an interception, one's a fumble.
Okay.
my predictions, my 2 of them, and then my score prediction, which I gotta hear from you guys. My first prediction is that the Chiefs Patrick Mahomes single-handedly turns the ball over more than the 49ers do in total. So, like, if Brock Purdy fumble or throws an interception and Christian McCaffrey fumbles it, that's two turnovers. But I feel like Patrick Mahomes is going to throw more in turnovers, or turn the ball over himself, either fumble or interception, more than the whole 49ers team combined. That's my first prediction. Second prediction is I believe that Brandon Ayuk will be utilized in more than CMC and Deebo Samuel, because people will be focused on these 2 guys, leaving this guy open. That might not be a crazy prediction because that kind of seems more logical, but I believe Brandon Ayuk, leading to that, Brandon Ayuk will be the Super Bowl MVP.
All right, so because of that, you're going to say 49ers are winning?
Yeah, I say 49ers win. That's tough because if they played, if the teams are very similar, that when they played last time, the Chiefs and 49ers, and it was like 33-20 or something like that. What was it? Let me look real quick. So I'm kind of just basing it off that.
Yeah, this was the one where the 49ers led the entire game and dominated, and the Chiefs came back at the last minute.
I'm going to say 49ers 31-28.
So the 49ers lost 31-20. So I'm going to go, and they pretty much have the same exact team, same coach, same quarterback, like different quarterback for the 49ers, but same kind of, they had Jimmy Garoppolo last time. So basically the same thing. I'm going to go 34-24 49ers.
All right, so you're also
10-point
covering
games.
that point.
Yeah, and I'm going the 3-point game. Okay.
All right. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Our crazy predictions all could overlap. So it's going to be a little hard to know who, because like I said, Brock Purdy will have a better stat line and be a much better quarterback than Mahomes, which if Mahomes has more interceptions than the whole 49er team, that's also true. And, so we'll have to see how we parse all that out next week as we're looking at all this. But that's a good start. Well, guys, this is the week where there's not a whole ton to talk about. I will say this: I didn't watch a lick of the Pro Bowl.
Nope.
Did either of you? The games?
No.
Didn't watch. Didn't look up any of the stats. Didn't see anything. So I hope they start getting the clue.
I did see one thing, and I do agree. I hope they're getting the clue. But I did see that those games that they play, like the precision passing and the dodgeball stuff. I did see that Dan Orlovsky, who we all know Dan Orlovsky is the analyst now, but he was a former NFL player, so it's kind of reasonable. It's not out of the world, but Dan Orlovsky did better as in a suit and tie as an analyst than all of the passers did for the precision passing contest.
I saw that on Twitter, or X, because I get on X, and you're not going to get away from some stuff like that. But yeah, I hope that the viewership was so low that they're like, you know what, this is just not working.
They did have Peyton and Eli coaching.
That's right.
And I've only seen very, very small clips on different social media platforms, but I never sat down and fully watched an entire activity. I used to watch, there was like best catch, most creative catch, and Devontae Adams would do that every year. And of course, he would look fantastic doing it. And so I used to watch that just to see what the other receivers would look like. And sometimes the quarterback passing thing. But, Kenny Clark went in last second as a fill-in. But outside of that, no Packers were there. A bit disappointed Andre Carlson was not the kicker. If you're not going to kick at all, what's going to be the point of having a kicker?
Yeah. I don't know. Again, I didn't watch anything, but I hear that Gardner Minshew was awesome in the way he just portrayed himself. So I would expect no less. I hear he was the MVP of all MVPs, the Nickelodeon most Nickelodeon. What does MVP stand for? Nickelodeon Valuable Player?
I think so. MVP.
Yes.
Let me look at it. It seems like that makes sense, but that doesn't make sense.
It should be
Nickelodeon Valuable Player. Yeah. Well, they're not saying he's most valuable. They're just Nickelodeon valuable. That's a different kind of value.
Nickelodeon Valuable Player. Yeah.
There you
So
go.
I guess
He is the most MVP of all MVPs ever. I would have to agree. I really do hope he's back as our backup quarterback next year. I like Gardner Minshew. And so I think that is a wonderful place to end this podcast today. Guys, we got a Super Bowl coming up. It's going to be fun. We all hope the 49ers win. Join us next week. We see whose most crazy predictions came true on the Football Fandemic. Thanks, guys.